She first. First, leader, greatness, hope, and dreams. Women have defied the norm and pushed through the barricades to change culture, technology, and life as we know it. Come listen to our weekly podcast and be inspired by the incredible stories of women and how they managed to be the first in a world that encourages women to be second. What are you waiting for? Be first. She is strong, she is deliberate, she is brave. She first. Thank you again for joining us on the She First podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us. I call her Jody because that's how she introduced herself to me. And then she sent me an email with another name and I'm like, who is this? So I know her as Jody. I'll let her speak more about herself. I'm excited for us to talk about how amazing she is and just to explore on how strong, deliberate, and brave she is. All right. So Jody, please go ahead and talk about yourself and maybe how we met. And,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my full name is Siana Jody Natalia Mclean. I introduced myself as Jody because Jody's what I get called at home and church. And, sometimes Jamaicans have like home names and as well, of course, because I'm born in Jamaica. So anyway, we have home names and we have professional names. But it so happens that my professional names and my home names are actually my given names. So Jody is what I get called at home and church when I introduce myself to people. And then at work, in school, it's Shauna. Well, when the two areas meet, you'll have people calling me Shauna and Jody in the same place. And sometimes people don't know who they're talking to, but it's all the same person. And I met you at church. We met at Central and I can't remember exactly. I think we were introduced by one of my, another friend.
Jennifer.
Well, actually, I think it was Rebecca, that initially introduced us because she was like, you guys need to meet Alice Mary. She does graphic design, different stuff. And we met that way initially. And then we built our relationship more through Jennifer. And then when we came together on Tableland, but it was a passing. I think it was at one of the prayers, the 21 days of prayer in the morning. And Rebecca introduced us. Yes, because
and I remember you had prayed.
Yes.
A super powerful. So
go ahead.
Long story short, and I need to say this, but we were doing this 21 days of prayer every morning, and I was attending, and this lady starts praying, and I'm like, who is this person that's praying like my mom? And she's calling every little stone to turn, and I'm like, yeah, and my whole spirit was like, I got goosebumps and everything, and I'm like, wow, I need this person to know me, because in case they're praying and they say my name, I think God will hear her and like work some out for me. So yeah, that was very powerful. I'll never forget that. Awesome. That's pretty much how we met. We missed out some pointers on, but that's how we met. All right. Just a little bit about yourself, like your occupation, your role in life, sister, are you a wife? Just so that we.
Okay, there's a lot of different aspects of myself. I guess we'll start with my occupation, but I am an immigration attorney. I have a practice both in the United States and in Canada. Nice. Just recently I passed the bar in Canada. It's always been my goal. I went to school here in Canada, but through circumstances, I wasn't able to get into law school right away here in Canada after graduating from U of T. But the Lord continued to give me that passion for the law. So I expanded my borders after being encouraged when I was a law clerk at a big firm in Toronto, and one of the lawyers was like, there's no way that you should be limiting yourself to just being a law clerk. And so I expanded my borders and I went to school in the States, actually. I went to school in Buffalo. And I went to University of Buffalo Law School, passed the bar there in 2011, and I've been practicing there. So I've been practicing in the US for 10 years in immigration law. And then I've always wanted to get my license here in Canada. And busy practice in the States took some time. And actually, after a few failed attempts at the bar here, I actually finally passed the bar during the middle of COVID. Apparently, I could pass it in COVID when everything shut down. But anyway, so I passed the bar and I got admitted. All of this happened in 2020.
Nice.
And I opened up my own office here in St. Catharines in October of 2020.
Nice.
So that's my profession. I am married to my lovely husband, Rohan. I'd say Rohan, to make it easier for people for pronunciation's sakes, is Rohan. And we have a daughter, Victoria, who's 4. Who's 4 years old. And we've been actually, on August 11th, we'll be married 8 years.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah.
Hashtag relationship goals.
That's and, in terms of okay, so I just said family, and I said
you're an attorney, you're a wife, and you're a mother.
Yes, and I'm also in ministry. I've been in ministry in different capacities over the years. Right now, I am the music director of evangelism for Tableland Women's Ministries. But I've been in ministry for such a long time, but because I'm a pastor's kid, and I grew up in that, and I've been a worship leader for 20 something years. I've done church administration, youth ministry, all types of women's ministries, preaching, prayer, all types of different things. So ministry is kind of pretty much my life. Right now, I don't do a lot of things at church, the particular church I'm at, but right now, the way that the Lord has me going, it doesn't really matter there, because I'm all about kingdom ministry. Exactly. So it's not just about what I'm doing at the particular church I'm been planted at, because the church is simply obviously not the four walls. So I'm ministering to the church, regardless of if it's at my local church or not.
Exactly. And I can attest to that for sure, regardless of, but you still volunteer at church.
Oh yes, I absolutely volunteer at church. And I'm however the Lord chooses to use me at the church I'm at, I am there. But I'm available to the church as a whole. Exactly. So not just my local church, but whatever other body wants. And I do. I still minister at the churches that I used to go to. And then because we're here to see people come to know who God is, I'm more focused on what's going on outside of the four walls right now anyway.
Exactly. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's not a believer. And we were talking about professions and how some Christians cannot be specific professions. And she mentioned an attorney. And I'm like, I don't think you know everybody yet. And so I told her about you. And she's like, oh, really? Are you sure? I didn't know that in the law we have Christians, because
it's a few of us actually.
Right? Her idea, I think, I don't know if her understanding of Christians being in the law met for some reason.
Well, because I guess it's based on people's idea of what a lawyer is, because some people's experiences with lawyers are that they don't operate with integrity, and that some people consider them think that they lie and they do all types of underhanded things to get what they want from on behalf of their client. But I know a lot of Christian attorneys, and I'm unabashedly Christian. So everybody knows me, knows I'm a Christian. I'm not afraid to say that in my profession. But I know a lot of Christian attorneys, and it's just a matter of the way it is that if you're Christian first and your profession comes after, and it's all unto God. So if you do things, for me, you're just operating under integrity because you serve the Lord. It's possible to be a Christian and a lawyer. There's an entire Christian legal fellowship. There's literally whole associations of Christian lawyers right here in St. Catharines and all over. It's just that I believe the reason why people think that way is literally because of their idea of lawyers. Yeah. And so their thought of who a Christian is and then their idea of who a lawyer is, it doesn't necessarily meet because of their viewpoint of how lawyers behave. Yeah.
All right, that was a good little snippet of who you are. I bet there's so much more that we've left out, but that's exactly how awesome Jody is. All right, so I don't know, is there a first that I can say that you are a first?
Well, I'm firstborn.
Exactly, that's what I did. So as a firstborn female, is there anything that you kind of that you say, as a firstborn, I had to do this, 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 and this because I was first. And this is what I learned from being the first sibling who is female. Because in the society, well, where I come from back home in Uganda, the expectation of a first child should be male, right? So as a female to come through as first, and being a girl, like my dad has no sons, there's that expectation of being perfect, making sure, you're representing your father correctly, besides not having to take his name on. Like, is there anything that you had to do, how you've lived, just because that is influenced because you are a firstborn
female
daughter?
Well, I see. Well, it's only three of us, three females. There's no sons in my family either. But it's interesting because as a first, like just in my family dynamics, whatever, being first, I guess I've always kind of been an overachiever, I believe, in my family. Sometimes it's a positive, sometimes it's a negative, depending. But I would have to say, not in Jamaican culture, females actually are quite powerful.
Nice.
We have more of a matriarchal society than I would
Nice.
say is not patriarchal. There's a strong male presence and there are traditional roles, but I would have to say that there's a lot of examples of strong women in Jamaican culture. So I can't say that, there is, that everybody's seeking to only, that their firstborn should be a male and stuff. Of course, you want to have a male to carry the line, but it's not a thing. But in terms of being a firstborn, I think for myself, I've always taken it upon myself to be like an example to my sisters and to please my parents, and ensuring that there is, even if it's one of us has to make sure that we maintain some integrity in all the things that are going, what we've been taught and such. And I've made that something important, and trying to guide my sisters as best as I can, and being example to even other family members and whatnot. So for me being first, I've taken that on, and I'm actually proud to be, a firstborn. And sometimes that comes with a lot of responsibility sometimes, but, I'm okay with that. My husband is also a firstborn, so we're both two firstborns there, kind of can clash sometimes because of that. But I've taken on, I think, because even like my parents neither of my parents are firstborns, but for whatever reason, like their drive and their push, I think I take my academic, even though they're both very academic, I think my academic prowess and stuff from my mom, and the ministry side of things from my dad, because my dad has been a pastor for, oh goodness, almost 50 years. My mom's a Christian and she serves the Lord, and she's in church ministry as well. But I literally grew up walking with my dad to church and walking with my dad to sermons. Like people know me even today simply because, oh, you're Pastor David's daughter? Yep, that would be me. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. So, it's kind of, I know I'm like going all over the place with your question, but being a first out there, I think it's kind of like I have had to take on this leadership role, and it kind of is seen in a lot of the things that I do. Exactly.
I agree. My parents were not first at all. My dad is 10 out of 13. My mom is third out of 4.
Okay.
So they're not really first, but when you say like your parents drive, it pushes you to want to do better.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially my dad, my parents are evangelists. So we used to go on the street and like hand out tracts and stuff with my dad. And I can vividly remember like the lessons, and like, you have to be an example. You have to make sure. There's one time I got into a little fight with, I don't know if I say little, but it was a fight with my sister, and my dad was like, Alice Mary, I'm so disappointed in you. He did not touch me. He did not hit me. But those words, they touched my spirit. I've seen the same conversation with my sisters, but I don't see the reaction that I got. I think because of the expectation I have on myself as the first. So
believe you me, that whole different reaction thing is a legitimate thing for anybody out there that's firstborn or first whatever, and you see, oh, how come mom and dad didn't respond like that way with whatever? Trust me to think, because I'm regularly, even in my age at 41, that's like, really, you would never have reacted that way, or even today. I'm like, there's no way I can't even say that to you, but somebody they can.
Else,
no problem.
Off topic, and probably will be going off topic a little bit here and there. Being the first, there's so many things I'm thinking of having to prep for my wedding. And the first thing I was thinking of was where I'm going to get married, the church I'm going to get married at. And since we want to do this back home, I'm thinking my parents' church. So when I came of age, like when I came of like 18, 19, we actually started going to another church, a Pentecostal church. My parents, we grew up in an Anglican church.
Okay.
So I'm sitting here and I'm like, I really don't want to go to use this church. I really want to use a church that I felt like I fellowship in, that speaks to my, and I'm sitting here, I'm struggling to like see how I'm going to tell my parents that. And when I told my dad, he said, oh, that's okay. That's fine. I'm like, I've been struggling with this one for like weeks. And he said, well,
apparently things change.
And I'm like, wow. And the funny part is my sisters were like, it's fine. Just do whatever you want. I'm like, no, I can't just do whatever I want. I'm going to be the first to get married. So it needs to be. But yeah, that reaction part, I definitely like see that part. Okay. So that's good. So I'm glad really that back in Jamaica that the female presence is like, and I'm not saying strong. It's not back at home, but the difference, it's vivid. It's very vivid that, females, yes, they value us, but at the end of the day, a male is stronger, inheritance is to a male and all that. So now that we're, the years are going by, women are getting educated.
Yeah.
That is starting to change. But I'm glad that that's something that, you grew up with, back at home. All right. What is a common myth about your profession or your field that you want to debunk?
Well, I think I already started speaking about that, is that not all lawyers are liars or deceivers. And, some lawyers actually do care deeply about their clients, and depending on the profession that they have, some lawyers, depending on the area of law that you practice in. I practice in immigration, and I'm very deeply concerned about all of my clients. Sometimes I've had to learn to not take my work home in my spirit.
Immigration.
It can be very emotional. Yeah. It can be very, and I still have to make the separation. And, I know some attorneys who are like family lawyers and whatever, and that family law gets very emotional, of course.
I can imagine.
But in every area, criminal, anything, you'd be very surprised as to how many lawyers are really there trying to help their clients. Not everybody's doing it for money. Not, we have to get paid. We went to school for a long time. Yeah, it's not just people think, oh, you're the lawyer's just trying to rip me off. But if you think about the many years that people go to school and the expertise it requires to actually give you that service, the idea, we have to take it out of our mind that, all lawyers are just trying to steal people's money and it's not worth it. There might be some that are, I'm not going to say they're not, but for the most part, many attorneys really do care to help their clients. So that's definitely something I would want to debunk about my profession, is that we're not all here to rip people off. We're not all here to just take your money. We actually want to help you. And yes, you might have to pay for our time, but for most part, many are reasonable. Exactly. I consider myself to be reasonable, but I also, been practicing for 10 years. So
to take care.
Yeah, I've been practicing for a long time. So you know what? Yes, you may have to pay for my service and my time.
And that's only fair. One more question before we go to the next section.
Sure.
Who are the 3 people who have been the most influential to you that you could say?
That's tough.
Only 3. I know.
Only 3.
I know. As women, we have so many support systems, but there has to be at least 3 people that have been.
Well, I have to say, like, I'll be, might seem cliche, but my mom is my first, and she might not think it. She always thinks that I'm not like, I don't think about her too much, or I don't give her too much credit. But to be honest, I give her a ton of credit, and she's extremely influential to me. Her hard work while she was, raising us since like at a point in time, my dad had to go back to Jamaica for ministry purposes and stuff. And it was just her up here with us 3 girls in the middle of that working, and then starting to do her master's and her PhD at the same time while raising 3 kids and working full time.
Smart.
Yes, smart. Yeah, I got some. My dad has his master's in psychology, and my mom has her PhD in education. So I got some pretty educated parents. But I watched her work so hard, and she always made sure that we were places, and like always gave us experiences. And I take that. That is a bit of major influence for me, even when raising my daughter. That it's not about like things; it's about experiences. And so for me, she's like my first, and my second is my spiritual mom. I have a spiritual mother. I have my biological mother and a spiritual mother. And her, she's Pastor Sonia Richards, and she ministers in Cambridge. But she has been heavily influential in my life over the years as I've grown in the Lord. She's been my covering. She has allowed, just been there to pray for me and to be like through everything. When things are going, I don't even know. Like, she's like, listen, she called, like, I don't know what the enemy's coming at you with, but I had to get up in the middle of the night to be worrying for you. So what's going on?
Wow, that's
what's
amazing.
Happening? Oh gosh, and so that's another.
The second one.
That's a second, and third influential person. It's so hard.
It is.
But I think the third person, and she probably also doesn't really notice it either. Actually, I'm gonna have to put them as a group.
That's fine.
It's a group. These are actually 2 people. they're definitely 2 distinct persons, but they came into my life at a very important part of my life, and so I'm gonna put them in the category as my thirds. And they're the godparents to my godmothers. Mothers to Victoria. So Evangelist Paulette Hales and Minister Michelle Nichols. I'm going to share her this. Is going to be, why did you have to call me minister? But anyway, but that's her title. So I'm going to call out your title, girl.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when I moved to Buffalo, I didn't have any, like, I moved to Buffalo, knew nobody in Buffalo. The Lord, that's where I went to law school. And he dropped me in this, I'm like, I need to find somewhere to go to church. And he dropped me into this small congregation, but the Lord, like, blew up my life, my spiritual life in there. That's where I and it wasn't just in the church, but I guess being away from other people and whatever, and the freedom that I found in that congregation and I met Michelle about 3 years in my time there, and Evangelist was there, but they working and ministering with them expanded who I am and expanded like my giftings that I didn't even realize were there, and they've expanded even further now than when I was there, because it's been a number of years since I've been there, but they're still like literally my sisters. But watching them like operate in ministry and the power that comes with that, but these are just regular people, and it just showed it was a good example to me of being able to function regularly in the world, but because they run a business. They run their own business. They're, they're not walking around with Bibles hanging over whatever all the time. They're just regular people. Yeah. But when it's time to minister, and they minister everywhere, right on the job, wherever. Like, it's a great example of not like compartmentalizing, like that only at church I'm this way. Yeah. And when I'm out here, I'm this way. Yeah. But actually like literally walking with your gifts everywhere you go. That's they're very powerful people in the Lord. And so I was allowed to flourish with them and grow with them. And so, they're influential.
That is so encouraging that, to know that you do have that support system, and they're strong women as well, which is, I think, sometimes overlooked, that women, sometimes we have our circles as well, right? We have our circles that encourage us, that pray for us. And it's amazing. And it's always, I think, important to do have those people in your life. All right. All right. So we're going to go to the next segment. She tried it. I'm going to ask you two unusual questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to pick your brain to see your answer for them. The first one is, if you could describe your job to a 5-year-old, how would you do it? A 5-year-old.
A 5-year-old.
How old is Victoria?
4. So explaining, I help people. I protect people from being hurt by bad people, and I also help people to stay with their families.
That is true. That is really good. The reason I have this question in here is, I don't know, sometimes we put so much of a huge burden on ourselves and we make it so complicated for ourselves. But we understand that this, if we bring it down
to that level, exactly,
you feel so proud of yourself at like in a weird way. Yeah. I don't know. And I got this, I was reading a book and that's how I got this question. The person I was writing it explained it that way. You feel to an extent super proud of yourself, which I just wanted to. Yeah. Because I feel like as an immigrant here, immigration law is really important.
Yes.
Very, very important because depending on, where you're coming from,
that's right,
you're protecting people from bad people. Some people trying to, bring their families over to be safe.
That's right.
Opportunity. So that in itself, I just wanted to throw that in there. Because, yeah, I actually protect people.
I do, and I'm very thankful that I get to be a part of protecting people. Every time I win an asylum case, I am so thankful.
Yeah. The second one is, how would you sell hot chocolate in the hottest country in the world?
How would I sell hot chocolate in the hottest country in the world?
Yep.
Well, it is hot. And it's like selling soup in Jamaica. It tastes good. So would you like some? Because, Jamaicans be drinking soup all year round and it's hot. So how would I sell it? I would just say, okay, you want some, it tastes nice. You want some chocolate with, yeah. Because
you'd sell the fact that it tastes really good.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with
being hot.
No. But yeah, in hot countries, they're still drinking soup and these things on every day.
That's true. I'm drinking tea and it's not really cold outside.
In Jamaica, on the hottest of days, people are stopping on the roadside to get themselves some nice soup or some roasted corn, roasted yam. All these things are very hot.
That was a good one. Okay, so the last part of she tried it is, it's usually a surprise request.
Okay.
And so the surprise request I'm going to ask is, it's going to speak to who you are. So what is your screensaver on your phone?
Right now? My daughter.
Okay. That's self-explanatory.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you to explain.
Yeah, that is what it is. Yeah, it's my daughter before. I think it's always been. I've just changed the picture.
And she's super cute.
Yeah, and then all of my my social media posts, whatever. It's always my daughter. Picture. Yeah, my WhatsApp picture, everything.
She's cute.
Yeah. But it's not just because she's cute. It's because, honestly, Victoria is a gift to me. Even though she's she's just literally, she's me, really. So I can't really get to whatever. But she's a miracle. The child came well early, and she could have passed, And so she's a gift, and so that's why I'm so proud of. You'll always see her because she's my one child. I don't know if the Lord's going to allow me to have another. So that's
and she's a girl.
Yeah, it's a girl. She's the first one.
Yeah, I can attest that Victoria's everywhere. She's on Facebook. She's on Instagram.
That's right.
She is everywhere. Okay. That speaks to you for sure. All right. The next segment is She Got It. So I'm going to give you 10 rapid fire questions. You're just gonna say the answer that comes to your head. No thinking about it.
All right.
Texting or talking?
Depending. No, it is because it depends on who it is. But all right, talking.
Talking. Okay. Favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Oh, okay. Favorite city besides the one you live in?
Kingston.
That's good one. Nickname your parents used to call you?
Oh. Jody. Oh no, that's a different person. Wanky Jody.
Okay. Last song you listened to?
Oh, Shepherd by CeCe Winans.
I can see that. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Speak every language in the world.
Okay, I'm just waiting for whoever says talk to animals.
I don't need to talk to animals. I'm good.
Favorite holiday?
Favorite holiday?
So Christmas, Easter.
No, I know. I
no thinking.
Yeah, I know. Christmas.
Christmas? Okay.
Yeah.
On a scale to 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
I don't drive, so 0.
I should have thought about that. Would you rather be invisible or super strong?
Super strong.
Interesting. Okay. And then the last one. What age would you want to retire?
50.
That's a good one. That's a good year to retire. You got 10 more years.
9.
No.
I'm 41.
You see, you don't even look. You don't. I'm not even. Anyways, we're not gonna go there. Okay. Finally, do you have any questions for me or any questions that you'd like to ask me?
I actually don't.
You don't?
Well, no. Do I really want to ask you? You should. You came out of there.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. How far along are you in the planning of this wedding?
Okay, so to be honest, I never thought that the planning a wedding was going to be this much work. and
yes, girl.
My husband is Jamaican, and he's super laid back.
Oh yeah,
so chill. I'm like,
oh, you expecting him to help you plan, girl? Please. No.
I did.
That's not happening.
I'm literally like, and I can see why he wouldn't, because it's going to be back home. We're going to try to see that his family comes to Uganda because it's easier for them to come to Uganda than to come here.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be cheaper for us to do the wedding back home than here.
Yes.
So I can see why he wouldn't, really, because everything's technically in my country. But we're trying to like set this date, and we're just going back and forth. So I think as soon as we have the date, then I will be like, okay, now we can do this. Because the way the whole wedding thing works for me, technically, or as a Ugandan woman, we do have the traditional wedding. So we have 3 events. Mm-hmm. We have the official introduction. So it's more or less like when my parents actually like meet this man and like, say, this is the man. Well, they technically already know him, but like, officially they meet him, talk to him. It's just a family, literally sisters, brothers, guy, best friend. That's it. Mm-hmm. And then we have the actual huge traditional wedding. Technically, after that event, I'm married.
Okay.
But because we're Christians, I will be doing the church wedding.
Okay.
So it is a bit of a process. It is going to be a huge event, per se, because I'm the first one.
Oh, yeah.
And of my dad's siblings, he's the only one with girls. Okay. All his other siblings have boys, right? Mm. So everyone's expecting something or expecting to see. So there's already that expectation. So it is a bit of work planning it. I like that I'm here because if I was back home, it would be a different story altogether. Everyone would have something to say.
Yeah.
Now I'm here. We can plan everything, down low key, and then go home. So I am planning. We are planning. Okay. It is work. I did not expect it to be this much work.
But planning a wedding is not easy. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, when I did mine, it was a lot. And I didn't, love my husband, but I was not getting any help from him much. And so, we did it. We worked it out. It happened. We're obviously married, been married 8 years. Yeah. But,
All right. So, I'm working on planning and I'm hoping, I'm praying. I know we will be fine.
It'll be just fine.
Yeah. And because another thing I think that's made me like a bit worried or like is nobody really knew Tyrone for a while. Mm. So on top of like, wedding, it's like, wait, who is this person? Do we know this person?
Oh, I did. I went to that entire thing. It took a while. People were like, what? You're getting married?
Right.
To who?
I know. What? Right? So, and I think I'm going to just take it because I'm very private with things like that. And I had not really like told anyone except my sisters and my parents for a while, and then this man was like, well, you need to start telling people because I am going to ask you a very important question, and everybody's going to know about it. So it's been interesting. It's been really interesting being a fiance and then be a wife. So
being a wife.
Yeah,
it's gonna get interesting. But so you're thinking probably in the next year?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Most
cool.
Definitely. And we're gonna actually try to do it this year, but then COVID and like so we'll see how everything works out. But most definitely next year.
Okay.
Come COVID, come rain, come snow, definitely we're gonna have to
get married
next year for sure.
I love it.
Okay, so final part is give us the tea. So if you could tell your younger self something, what would it be in one sentence? So let's say 15 years old. What would you say to yourself? And this, I have this in here to help encourage anyone out there that is, any younger ladies out there that try to be attorneys or, trying to be.
Was it that, a different thing? Well, the first thing that came to my mind is, don't worry about it. It'll work itself out.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I don't really know if I was thinking that back then, but in general in my life, I think about a lot of things, but my encouragement would be, you know what? Don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything will work itself out. If you feel like, for me, if you focus on the Lord, but if you want a sentence, don't worry about it. Everything will work itself out.
That is so true. And if you think about it, like, it always does. It always does. Even just think about my coming here.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have, I was a crazy little girl. I packed my suitcase, literally, because school was starting September 1st, and I had not yet got my visa. I was supposed to fly out Sunday and get here for Monday for class. And it was Friday, and I did not have my visa.
Wow.
But the week before, I packed my bags.
Mm-hmm.
I literally packed like as if I was flying on Sunday. I even bought the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
You can imagine. I'm so grateful for my parents for playing along with my craziness. But yeah, you are so right. It works itself out.
It does.
As long as you have Christ.
That's right.
That's
the key.
Work hard. It does work out for sure.
That is the key.
All right. Do you have any social medias? Anything that how you'd like anyone to reach out to you in case?
I do.
I can put everything in the description box at the bottom. But if there's an email or something.
My email, if anybody wants to reach out to me, my personal email is Siana Jody, Jody, @gmail.com. I'm on Facebook. You're going to have to put it in because I don't remember what I call myself. But I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. My professional email addresses are going to be listed because I have a couple because I have my U.S. practice and I do have my Canadian practice, and my firm name here in Canada is Mclean Law Professional Corporation, and I am also on Facebook, so you can check me out there. And all those other things are going to be added later on, but we're working on it.
Yeah, and she for sure, if anyone needs any legal immigration advice,
call me, email me, contact me.
So that brings us to the end of our episode with Jody. That was nice. I'm so glad I was able to have you on here because
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I just wanted to really debunk the whole idea of there's no Christian lawyers out there. So
there's powerful Christian lawyers out there.
Yeah, and she's rocking it, and she's a firstborn. So perfect. That was just like jackpot. That was awesome. Thank you so much. And
you're welcome.
I appreciate you taking the time to come out here and talk to me.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
That was good.
That was good.
Yeah, one take.